Beggar hugs millionaire and cries, "You're my son." DNA test shocks. Everyone, he was dressed in an Armani suit, stepping out of a sleek black car onto a red carpet. Cameras flashed, fans screamed. But just as the young millionaire smiled for the cameras, an old, ragged man rushed from the crowd, wrapped his arms around him and sobbed, "You're my son." The crowd gasped. Security moved in. The millionaire froze. Everyone thought it was a publicity stunt, until the DNA test came back. What it revealed? No one was prepared for that. Please support us by subscribe, like, and share for more, with activating the notification bell. Thank you. Now, let's dive in. This is a story about a beggar, a billionaire, and a truth hidden for decades. Daniel Cross was the name on every billboard, app store, and Forbes cover. At just 31, he had turned his virtual reality startup into a billion-dollar empire. With sharp cheekbones, ocean blue eyes, and a sense of style curated by Parisian designers, Daniel was the image of perfection. But on one unforgettable spring evening in New York, the illusion cracked. He was attending the launch of his new tech campus. "The future begins now," the banners screamed. Press lined the velvet ropes. Influencers pointed cameras at their faces, and a string quartet played elegant background music. That's when it happened. From the crowd, a weathered man burst through the barricades, clothes tattered, beard wild, eyes sunken with years of pain. Security rushed in, but not before the man wrapped his arms around Daniel and wept into his designer jacket. "You're my son, my boy. I finally found you." The crowd froze. Phones tilted up, cameras clicked. Daniel stood rigid, unsure if it was a stunt, a prank, or something else. The beggar sobbed uncontrollably, clutching him like a lost child. "Get him off me!" barked one of Daniel's security guards, yanking the man back. But Daniel raised a hand. "Wait." He turned to face the old man. "Why would you say that?" Daniel asked, voice calm but curious. The beggar looked up with teary eyes. "Because you were taken from me. Your name. It was Eli. I called you Eli." Daniel's heart skipped a beat. He had no idea why, but that name felt familiar. The man was dragged away by police, his cries echoing in the distance. The launch went on, but Daniel's world had just shifted, and he couldn't let it go. Daniel couldn't sleep. That night, the name Eli rolled through his mind like a whisper from another life. His penthouse was quiet, overlooking Manhattan's sleepless skyline, but inside, Daniel was restless. He dug through old adoption documents stored in a locked drawer. They were vague, cold, signed by a third-party agency in Florida. No names of biological parents. Just that he was adopted at age 3. His adoptive parents, Michael and Teresa Cross, had always told him he was chosen, special. But they never spoke of what came before. Daniel called them the next morning. "Mom, did I have a different name before you adopted me?" A long pause, then, "Why are you asking that?" "Just tell me," he pressed. "Did I?" Teresa finally confessed. "You were brought to us from a shelter. They said your name was Eli, but we didn't want you growing up with memories, so we changed it." Daniel froze. "Why didn't you ever tell me?" he asked. "We were afraid you'd go looking for pain." He hung up, then dialed his head of security. "I want a full background check on the man who hugged me last night. Every detail, name, history, and find out where they took him." 2 days later, the report came in. Name: Samuel Brooks, age 63. Former factory worker, filed missing child report in 1997 for infant named Eli Brooks. Case marked unsolved. Daniel's hands trembled as he held the report. He ordered a private meeting with Samuel. The room was quiet, sterile. Private clinic, no reporters. Just 2 men and a truth waiting to unfold. Samuel sat across from Daniel, hands shaking, eyes glassy. He looked smaller without the chaos of the street. "I'm sorry for the scene I caused," Samuel said. "But when I saw you on the screen, I just knew. You have your mother's eyes, her dimples, and the way you smiled. I couldn't stay away. Daniel nodded. We're doing a DNA test today. If you're wrong, you leave and never come near me again. But if you're right, Samuel just nodded. I understand. The swabs were taken, samples sealed. The wait was excruciating. 3 days later, the clinic called. Daniel opened the envelope alone. Result, 99.9% probability of paternity. He sat down hard. The beggar was telling the truth. The man who clung to him in rags was his father. He invited Samuel back. I have questions, Daniel said, voice raw, and I want the truth. Samuel took a long breath and began. You were born in a shelter outside Miami. Your mother, Maria, died during childbirth. I was devastated. Lost my job shortly after. Still, I held you every night. Promised I'd find a way out of poverty. One day, you got sick. Fever. I took you to a clinic. They said I couldn't afford treatment without insurance. A kind nurse offered to help, said a private agency could take care of it. I didn't know what she meant. They took you for tests, said you'd be back in a week. You never came back. Daniel's eyes burned. I went back every day. Then one day, the clinic was closed. Empty. Gone. I called the police, filed a missing child report. They didn't care. A homeless black man losing a baby. They assumed I was crazy. I spent every penny trying to find you. I fell apart, ended up on the streets, but I never gave up. I carried a photo of your baby face for years. Samuel pulled out a yellowed picture from his pocket. Daniel stared at the chubby infant in the faded photo. That face was his. I kept telling myself, Samuel whispered, one day I'll find you. Daniel couldn't speak. He just reached out and hugged him. The story broke within 24 hours. DNA confirms homeless man is tech billionaire's long-lost father. Adoption agency under investigation for child trafficking. The media frenzy was brutal, but Daniel didn't flinch. He stood before the world and said, this man is my father. He lost everything, including me, and still never gave up. If you want to talk about loyalty, love, and sacrifice, talk about Samuel Brooks. Public sentiment turned. A nationwide investigation into illegal adoption rings began. Daniel funded a task force in Samuel's name. He also launched the Eli Foundation, dedicated to reunifying broken families and helping children lost in the system. As for Samuel, he moved into Daniel's penthouse, got a full medical checkup, new clothes, a second chance at life. But what he valued most wasn't the view or the money. It was sitting beside his son, watching old movies, catching up on the decades they lost. One evening, during a gala for the Eli Foundation, Daniel walked on stage hand in hand with Samuel. He looked into the cameras and said, I thought I had everything, money, power, fame. But I didn't even know my own name. I wasn't Daniel. I was Eli Brooks. My father didn't find me to take anything. He gave me back my truth. The audience stood and clapped. Samuel, overwhelmed, whispered, your mother would be proud. Daniel smiled. So am I.